What's going on, YouTube and 2K community? It's your boy Gen.G Gaming, bringing you some content for the upcoming NBA 2K League Season 4. I'm doing a mock draft just to bring some content to the community. Shout out to Champ and ESGN for providing the graphic for one of the drafts that I participated in earlier in the winter. I just wanted to bring in some content to the community and show you how I believe that these war rooms will be ran in order to make a playoff push and championship run for this upcoming season, and also show how I can scout for the organizations that might be looking for somebody to help drafting some good players to bring a ring to their city. But I am recording this. Just wanted to put this out there. Recording this before the APAC tournament, for the European tourney, and before the next gen qualifying tournaments where the additional guys are being brought into the pool. So I'm recording this on the 29th of December. So if you see some guys that that I might be missing, that just got brought in, if you're watching this in late January, I did this before then, so just to keep that in mind. Also, like how I'm going to be determining the picks, it's four different points that I wanted to make before I get started. First, that is going to be mainly based on team needs. So like if the Jazz need a sharp, I'm going to draft the sharp there, just because it makes sense. Next is definitely going to be one of the best players available that might fit their system / scheme. So there's some teams where I know they might go to the 5 wide and try to win games that way. Also, there's teams who's really good at running the PNR. Like there's like the Sixers, they're going to run PNR with the Radiant at that high left hash, and because some decent guys around them that can shoot and that can play defense, so they can make another push. And then which leads me to my next point. This is going to be a few teams where I understand the chemistry or culture that they're trying to have in place, and so I know they're going to look for guys that's going to buy into their system and buy into their culture. But there's also, with that being said, there's also a few teams where I know nothing about. I haven't had conversations with the coaching staff. All I have is the fly on the wall perspective from the outside looking in, to where I can probably determine, I can make a good educated guess on the type of guys they're wanting over there, but I don't know what they're thinking. So they keep that in mind too as well once you see some of these picks. My last point on this, the picks. Some of these picks I'm going based off that the picks that I think that will work best for the players around them. So a lot of these teams have 4 really good guys, 3 or 4 really good guys that they're going to keep around for a while. So like Warriors kept their backcourt along with Gradient for the last 2-3 seasons. That's 2 seasons, and I feel like they're going to keep that going forward. So they're going to bring some guys in that's going to work best for that. Same thing with like the Kings. Kings have like a really good core nucleus of 4 guys that I think they're going to keep bringing it back as long as they're grinding the game and showing that they're pretty good. And so they're just plugging some new people in there that can possibly help them make a playoff push and make a big run in the regular season, and maybe win a banner or 2 in a championship. But with all that being said, I definitely want to get into the first pick with the Lakers. Let's get this thing started. Lakers are on the clock. Now, with the number 1 pick with the Lakers gaming team, I think this has been a guy that we have all determined. Like, we all seen this guy play in the prime circuit, and he's always winning. He is a really good lockdown, plays well off the corner too as well, communicates really well, and is well respected throughout the community. I think we were just all waiting for him to turn 18 and be qualified to be a participant in the 2K League. So with that being said, I think the Lakers gaming squad takes Crazy with the number 1 pick. I think it's unanimous at this point. They could surprise us on draft day. I don't think they will. They have Sav and Tactic over there, who has been working really hard at that center spot, and Tactic looked really good at center in the FIBA tournament. You definitely can see the improvement on his game, and I think Crazy would just fit right in. And I think they're still going to be in the rebuilding stages. Still got to draft a good sharp and a good power forward, and possibly get a good 6-man that can come off the bench and do multiple things to help them win some games. Because back-to-back tough seasons, things got to change at this point. So I think it definitely makes a lot of sense to draft Crazy to start changing things around over there. Now we're at Pacers Gaming. Now with the Pacers, I have a little bit of understanding on what they're trying to do. I think everybody knows they need a point guard. This is the 4th season where they're having another chance at drafting a brand new point guard to bring some success to the Pacers organization. They got 1 playoff appearance. And that's when Ramo was there, and they kind of fell in love with the post scoring, and the post scoring got them to the playoffs. But not 1 year had they had a good point guard that could, they could take the keys of the offense and win games. There's no knock against the PGs. It just didn't work out with the dynamic they had over there in the past. So with that being said, I think the pick they have here can score with the ball in his hand, and I think I've seen him work off the ball a little bit too as well. I think he's going to adjust really well to the league build. Is another one of those guys we've seen play well over the past few years. Just kind of waited for him to get in a good spot and get into the pool. I don't think they take ant season here, just based off the culture there. But they could surprise us. But I do think they take a walking bucket here at number 2. He can score with the ball in his hands. I think he will fit in right away in Indiana with Wolf and Jomar and Swizzard. Be able to put the ball on the ground and score the basketball. I mean, at this point, that's all they really need. They need guards who can put the ball in the hole. And I wouldn't be surprised if they draft another guy in the second round to do the same thing off the ball as well. But here, I'm going to take walking bucket. Now with the 3rd pick, we have Gen.G Tigers, who had a crazy offseason. They brought in J Money and Feast, with their 2 big additions to the organization, and they kept turn up defense. So now they have 3 championship guys who played on that T-Wolves team from season 2 and brought them over to Gen.G. J Money has the keys to run the point guard, which is what he wanted. So I think they're in a good spot to draft with his 3rd pick. Honestly, I think with this 3rd pick, they're in a great situation. They have the opportunity to draft this guy who is also a champion, making it that they have 4 championship players starting the season for season 4 for Gen.G. And I think with this 3rd pick, I think it's a no-brainer to take Reese the God here, just because one, he was. Season 2, he was the most improved player, even though that wasn't an official award. I think we all kind of gave it to him. He won the championship. He was part of that championship team with the Wizards. You already know what you're getting out of him. He can dex off the ball. He can run that same kind of scheme that J Money likes to run with J-Rod and Pro-Am. By having Reese there, he can also get the ball and get a bucket himself and putting the ball on the ground. Shoots really well on the break and in tough spots, and get you 20 points. And I think that's what they need over there. And if Reese is on the board here at 3, I think it just makes too much sense to get him. I also wouldn't be surprised they went with another sharp, but I think the best sharp selection for somebody that J Money might need to work off the ball would be Reese here. Now with the next pick for Pistons GT. Before I get into this pick, I definitely want to say that the Pistons is one of those teams where I don't know what they're thinking. Word gets around about how this guy doesn't want to play with this guy, and I don't know who's denying interviews, and I don't know what Ruben is really thinking in terms of how they want to pick. What I do know is that they do need guards who can score the ball, and I know they need guards who can help them make a playoff push, because they haven't been in the playoffs since season 1. And with that being said, I think the best available guard here at 4 is ant season. And like everybody watching this know the issue with that pick. We know that that's gonna come with trouble. And I think if anybody's willing to deal with the backlash of drafting him, I think it's gonna be the Pistons. I think they might not want to deal with it. Like, this is just me talking. This is me not knowing anything. I think Pistons is one of those organizations where, they had the bad boys. We had the bad boys Pistons team. We had Ben Wallace. We had guys who were tough, hard-nosed guys in Detroit. So like with that culture being in place, they got a guy like Ramo. Ramo's a hard, tough nosed guy, and like he's cool. Everybody respects him, everybody loves him, but he's a tough dude. And I think that if they're willing to keep that culture up, and you're willing to, talk to them, everybody, all the players in the room, sit there and they hash out all the issues they might have with them. I think they have a good squad there to build around them. So I'm gonna take Ant Season here at 4. Even though they might not draft him here just based off what we know as a community, but I think it does make sense in terms of talent and what pieces you can build around. With this 5th pick for the Celtics, I think it's a good spot for them to get the secondary ball handler as Sharp. FT's got the keys of that office now, so I think a good pick for them here at 5 would be no one other than 630. He can shoot the ball really well. It kind of makes it look easy. I think he's one of those guys who, he can take the reins of the ball handler if need be. He can make plays on and off the ball, so it'd be exciting to see him put the green jersey on and do what he did in Pro-Am and show the rest of the world that he is one of the top sharps in the league. Be nice to see him jump right into the system/scheme they have over there in Boston and hit big shots in big moments and be an all-star caliber player. I think he's one of the best players in this draft, so I'm excited to see how he turns out. Now for the 6th pick for the Celtics, I think they're in a good spot to draft really good players. I think if for some reason that they don't draft well, I will be stunned. I think it's really hard to mess up the draft for the Celtics. I think right here is a good spot to get the best available center on the board. Get it out the way. That way you can they can wait for that 17th pick to get a solid 4 or 3 guy. But for here at 6, I think it'll be a good spot for them to choose a center, and I think they should go with no one other than our guy Glow the Real. I think he's the best available center in the draft. I'll put him there at 6. Definitely gets a steal. It's good to get him out the way because I don't think he lasts till 17. So it's good to take him there at 6. And I think it fits well with 630 and FT, and also with Bully. I think it's a no-brainer to get him out the way here at 6. Now moving on to Heat Check Gaming. Now with Heat Check, they kind of been struggling with guards over the past few seasons. They had some guys bounce around, made a few trades, got guys in and out of there. Haven't really established a good guard in the sense of a franchise player. It's just like a guy who can play point guard or off ball that's been sticking around for a while. Like you see at some of these other teams, I think this is their chance to possibly change that. I think they have a good chance to go either a point or a 2, but with this pick, I think they can guy who can run the ones and go off ball if need be. One of the lower ego type of guys, like can do either or. Young cat, I think it'd be good to partner him up with Hot Shot, and they typically like to go with Xbox players. So I think they will take here at 7 Rigby. I think he's the best available guard at this spot at 7. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets taken earlier. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat Check went with somebody along the lines of like C's or even like a green light. It really depends on how Famous is thinking with this pick. But if I'm in the Heat Check locker room and Rigby's on the board here, I definitely would suggest to take him here. Now with the 8th pick for Hornets Venom GT, they made a bunch of moves over the offseasons. The 8th pick was the Magic, but they traded it for Sherm. Got rid of Sherm to get the 8th pick. So I think with this spot, there's a good spot to get the best lock available. We know the reality of the draft. We never know what these GMs are thinking. But right here at 8, they have their backcourt established right now with Sherm and Alex. So I think it's a good spot to take no one other than Tazo. Let me switch the graphic there. Tazo is a good lock. I think he's been one of the better established locks over the course of pre-draft. It's a good chance for him to jump right into the backcourt. the front court, and play some good defense, especially with Pete backing him up at center. So he's in a good spot to play some really good defense, and I think you can put anyone at that 4 spot. I think they have a 15th pick here where they can get a decent 4. But for here, 8, I think it's smart for them to take the best lock available. And at this moment of December 29th, I would say that is Tazo. With the Knicks Gaming Season 1 champions trying to make another run in the playoffs. They had the back-to-back here at 9 and 10. I think they're in a good spot to get some guys that will work best for their system. They got Duck and Malik, probably one of the better backcourts in the league. Malik has been playing out of his mind. Duck is also a really good point guard. I think that their biggest need right now is for defense in the front court. They brought back Rob. But it's still like a little bit of a question mark on his head or whether how he's going to play going into season 4. I would expect to see big things out of them. And Knicks they're always going to have a target on their back. They always have high expectations, especially with being in New York and how crazy the New York fans is. But at this 9th pick, I do like I said, I like the spot there, and I think they have a great chance to get a boost in their defense on the front court, whether it be the 3 to 4. So I think they choose Lavish Phenom here. He can play a lock and he can play the 4 at a high level. And he's one of the better professionals in the league, one of the better veterans. He's played with really good people. He's going to bring a lot of insight. I think he's going to make Ballo's job a lot easier in the locker room. Honestly, I think it's a no-brainer to take him here at 9. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes later. Not later, but earlier to like the Hornets or even to like the Celtics. Like somebody can draft him earlier, just to bring a guy like a locker room guy, high culture guy, well-rounded professional. He's done this for years now, so I think it's a no-brainer to take him here at 9. Now, just for the 10th pick for the Knicks, they got Lavish here at 9. Still got Malik and Duck, of course. They got a few New York guys on the roster. I think that will probably be the culture. I feel like the only kind of downside to all of this is just it's a lot of personality in the room. But they're in a good spot to get the best available talent and guys who are going to be good in their roles. As I said, it's kind of a question mark on can't guard Rob right now, but I think they do bring in another guy who can score with the ball in his hand if need be out the corner, can move to the 5 or the lock spot if need be, if it comes down to it. So I think at the 10th spot here, I think it also brings a little bit of chemistry with Duck, and that's no other than playoffs are. He finally got through to the playoff pool. He's been sitting out for 3 seasons. I think he has something to prove here. I think he's one of the power forwards that has the potential to be a top 5 power forward right away in the league. Like I said, he can rotate to the lock spot if need be. I think he even can play the 5 if absolutely necessary. So I think that'll be a steal there if he falls to 10. Now going in for the Hawks, I think the Hawks are kind of in a similar situation as the Knicks. They have a really good backcourt with BP and Kelmath, and then they got a solid center in Lee. So now, in order for them to make a playoff push, I think they're going to have to put some guys around them that they're kind of been here before or ready to dive into the responsibilities of being a role guy and buying through role and being the star in their role. And with that being said, I think with the 11th pick, I think they should go with nobody other than Idris. Idris has shown that he can play the 4. He won the championship playing in the corner for the Knicks. He went to the Bucks, who was one of the best power forwards in the league for Bucks Gaming. I think the only issue that some people might have with Idris is that he's very opinionated. He's people wouldn't consider him to be a locker room guy, but he is one of the more talented players. Typically with guards, maybe guys with the Hawks, it might be an issue because it's already a bunch of personality on the team. Everybody know how Kelmav is, and we know how BP is. Lee would probably be the quietest guy on this starting 5 as of now, depending on who they get. to run lock. But Idris is the best talent there. If we're trying to make a playoff push, it'd be a no-brainer to go for Idris. If you're trying to get somebody who's trying to be quiet and sit in the corner and hush, you might want to go with somebody else. But it's really up to Wes to make that decision, and that coaching staff and those scouts they might get over there. But I think the best pick right here at 11 is Idris to go. Now with the Sixers pick, I think they're in a good spot to get a sharp here. They got a really good roster. They got Radiant and Walnut and Steeds. I think Steeds is kind of settling in to be either like the lock or potentially even play the 4. He's one of the. I would say he is the captain of that team, and I think Radiant is still in his prime, despite people kind of criticizing him over his season 3 performance. And Walnut is still one of the best, debatable, still arguably the best center in the league over the past 3 years. And I think they're in a good spot to get a good sharp here. For the Sixers, I think. Me personally, I think the best pick for them at this spot would be Lottie. He can play off the ball. He can even put the ball on the ground himself and score. I think Radiant, with Radiant passing him the ball, I think is a no-brainer to get Lottie. Or I wouldn't be surprised if they got somebody like Calirat or Rando there at 12, because you still got you got plenty of time. And like I don't think they miss out on too many sharps at the 12 spot. So I think Lottie would be a good pick right here for that 12 spot. Veteran guy, been in the playoffs, and I think he would just fit right along with their offense. Now moving on to the Warriors pick here at 13. I think with the Warriors is another one of the teams that for me personally is kind of tough to draft for, just because I don't know what they're thinking. I haven't had a conversation with anybody from the organization or from the team. It's going based off purely off outside looking in, kind of figuring out what will make sense. If the 2K League Season 4 build is next gen based, based off more of the next gen play rather than current gen, I can kind of see them going with a 4 and a 5 that can kind of flip flop and possibly doing like some pick and pop actions, throw action, and just kind of moving things around there. They haven't had a consistent 4 guy that they trust. I know Jalen was probably the best one they had. They brought him in for a second time, and they made a deep push in the playoffs. But they also benched him for Matty, and I don't know what happened there to make that happen. But and then they traded him, so I don't really know what they're doing. But at 13, I think I'm making an educated guess here, and I think they're gonna go with somebody along the lines of Chaos. See, with Chaos, he can play the 4 or the 5. You can put him on either side, run PNR on offense, and you can kind of have him play the corners too as well. I think it's a good pick. It would just be, it's like an educated guess for me, just because I don't know the dynamic over there. They got the trusted backcourt with Smooth and CB13, along with Gradient, who's arguably the top 5 lock still. But Chaos is definitely a personality I think that would fit with their culture and with the players there, and I just think it makes sense in my opinion. Now the next pick with the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies, they traded away Goofy, so Authentic can run the center. They got 2 picks here in the first round, 14th and 16th. This is a good spot for them to draft some guys that I think will fit their culture and potentially get in the playoffs. One thing I've noticed about the Grizzlies camp, again, it's one of those things I'm not in communications with Vandy, Authentic, or Lang. I don't really know, but it's just some things I've noticed. One thing I noticed is that the players that they bring in with high personalities typically don't stick around, and they haven't won. They haven't got into a playoff once. They got Winner, big personality, he's gone. They had Kelmath, big personality, he's gone. They had Goofy, big personality, he's gone. So I think they're going to travel down the road of drafting some people who, a little more chill, a little more laid back when we get on Twitter. Won't do a ton of, yelling and screaming and being loud and kind of getting Vandy's nerves and Authentic's nerves. I don't think those guys did that per se, but I think they're just looking for the guys to kind of keep an even keel energy. I don't know this guy a ton. I haven't talked to him, so like they might say like, oh yeah, why would you pick this guy? He might be as fast. But I'm gonna take Calyrac here at 14. I think he's the best sharp available, one of the best sharps available here. They do need a sharp. And then they gave J-Rod the opportunities at sharp last season. Didn't work out. Didn't play that well. I think they move in the direction of a guy like Calyrac. You know, give him a chance. I think he's gonna work well with Vandy. He had a pretty good year last year. It was solid. I think he still has some room for improvement. I think he needs to break that seal of being like a top. He's like kind of like the 10 to 15 kind of point guard in the league. So I kind of want him to break that and kind of jump into the top 5, top 10 talks. But I think they move in the right direction, getting Calyrac here to fit the sharp mold over there and team up with Authentic and Vandy. Now we're diving into the Hornets with their 15th pick. I drafted Tazo for them at 8, which will have the lineup now sitting at Pete, Tazo, Exposed, and Sherm at point guard. So I think this is a good chance to get a really good power forward to fit right into that system. And I think the best power forward at this spot would be Spartan. See, Spartan kind of solidified himself as being a top 6-7 power forward in the league last year. Too many teams didn't really talk about him, but like he was really appreciated. People didn't really talk about him as much, give him as much praise as he should have gotten, but he's definitely appreciated over there in Mavericks. I understand why the Mavericks didn't bring him back. Of course, they got Zay, and Zay was probably arguably the best power forward last year. But with this Hornets spot, he's familiar with Sherm and Pete, and I also think Spartan would get along with Coach West and kind of fit the dynamic over there. And then Alex is probably one of the better locker room guys in the league, and I think he'll fit along with them. Tazo and Pete definitely will have to pick and roll settled, so it'd be good to get some scoring out the corner, and I think Spartan will be able to do that and provide that for Hornets Venom GT. Now with the 16th pick, again with the Grizz Gaming, I have them getting Calyrac at 14, and with Authentic moving to the center spot, it's going to be a good opportunity for pick up a decent lock here. I think they wait around to get a 4. They could also get their 4 here too as well, because I know they kind of struggled at the 4 spot in the past season, the past few seasons. But I think here at 16 is a good time to get a lock, because all the good locks are going to go quick, and they'll still have some decent 4s throughout the rest of the draft for their next available pick. And but with 16, I think they're going to get Pexile. I think he's a good selection at lock. I think he's kind of a safe pick too as well, because he's going to do what he has to do. He's going to listen. I think he's going to work well with the talent they're going to have there. I think he's one of those guys you can just kind of put him with any lineup, any environment, and he'll make it work. So I'm excited to see what Pexile is going to do in the league, whether it's here at Grizzlies or anywhere else. Here at 17, now this is a good spot for them. Like I said, it would be hard for the Celtics to have a bad draft. I think they will have to try to really screw things up in order to have a bad draft. But draft 630 in Glow earlier, 5 and 6. They have FT at point more than likely, and they also retained Bully. So they're in a bit of the rebuilding stages. So it's good to have a core nucleus of talented young guys who can come in and change the dynamic over there in Boston. But with the 17th pick, I think this is the best time to get a lockdown. So I think it'd be good to get Guns here at 17. His stock is rising. I think about the time the draft actually comes around, I can see him getting picked a lot earlier, even going before Tazo. He's playing really well in pre-draft. But as of December 29th, I think he's probably looking like the second, third best lockdown that'll be available here. And this is a good spot to steal him before one of these guys get smart and pick him up with the remaining first round picks and potentially early second. But this is a good spot to get a lockdown here at 17. I think they can afford to wait because it's good to get those top sharp, top center out the way at 5 and 6. And and then just hope that a good lockdown doesn't get off the board at 17. But he's here at 17, and I think he's a good pick. Guns. Now, with the 18th pick for the Bucks had a really good year. Their first time getting into the playoffs. Look like Reg, Arix, and Plondo is the core nucleus of the organization. They didn't bring Idris back. From what I've known, I think it was more because Idris is an opinionated guy, and like a lot of players like their power forwards to kind of take a back seat in terms of like talking and having too much to say. But I mean, Idris' talent level is definitely there, and they might have decided that just based on the dynamic, it maybe was best for both parties to kind of go elsewhere. So I mean, it is what it is. I think both the Bucks are going to be good, and I think Idris is going to be really good too. So, but they do need a good 4 spot, and they do need a good lock. But here at 18, there's still there's a lot of good locks available, and there's still a few locks available. But I think this is the best chance to get a power forward who we've seen in the past post drafts being a really good power forward, and I think will fit right in with what they want to do over there in Milwaukee. And I think it's a good spot to draft Fakey here at 18. He's one of those guys that he's well respected at being a really good power forward, but some people say this might be a little high for him. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what Sam Pan has planned. I'm sure he has some kind of analytical pick in mind of who to take here at 18, and I know Reg's going to have some influence, and those guys are going to have some influence of who they pick at 18. But for me, on the outside looking in to the Milwaukee organization, I think Fakey would be a good fit. I think he'd be able to do what Idris was able to do season 3, score the ball in the corner and play really well, off the corner defense too as well, and really getting the minds of those point guards, looking to make those dots and those easy pass to the roller. But here at 18, I think that's a great pick. Thank you. Now with the 19th pick with the Kings. Kings are in a great spot. I think with the 19th pick, it's just who could they get to kind of pick off where they left off. They got Mama, which was a great acquisition over the offseason. Seam and Crushy and Yusuf, veteran guys. Crushy is probably the best defender in the league. You can debate him and Cook for sure, but still really good talent. Seam is a really good, sharp, talented guy. And of course, Yusuf, who's been coming into his own as a top 4, and he also can play center. So with them, I'm not sure if Yusuf's going to be playing center or the 4, but I like with this pick here. I think they're going to take XO LeBron, another winner in the Pro-Am circuit. I think he'll be able to, help them pick up where they left off. He can shoot really well out the corner, swings really well, communicates, and I think him and Yusuf can kind of get down to where like the way LeBron and May did on RDG. LeBron's gonna drop. He's gonna listen to Yusuf on defense. He's gonna listen to Mama on offense. He's gonna do what he needs to do. He's gonna be a star in this role, and I think that's a good spot for him to get picked up over there in Sacramento. With the comp-led Jazz Gaming squad here at 20, led by Splashy and Rhea, had big years last year. B just solidified himself as one of the top power forwards in the league. Complete played really well his first year in the lock, and I think on paper they have a big chance of getting to the finals of season 4. But what they really need with Lottie being out of the picture is someone that can replace him there at sharp. I think the best sharp available right here at 20 would be Rando. See, Rando wasn't in the league for the Nets last year. Got suspended for season 3, but he's still really talented, moves off the ball really well. I think Splash is going to have a fun time, dotting him up at the hash, sending him on dexes, and he can put the ball on the ground a little bit and score on his own as well if need be. I think he's going to fit right in with that system over there, and they can make a big run in the playoffs and potentially be our season 4 champs. You never know, but the 20th pick, if he's there, I can see Jazz scooping him up. With the 21st pick, belongs to the Cavs Legion. They traded some of their early picks, 5 and 6, for Fab, and now they have Fab, Strainer, and God 2K. That's a pretty solid backcourt. Strainer's gonna be a top sharp, but just playing with Fab, and like, cause Fab makes every sharp he plays with literally one of the best sharps in the league. So I'm excited to see the season. We're going to see from Strainer and Fab. And then Gotta 2K is going to do Gotta 2K things and be top 3 lockdown, top 5 lockdown. And I think Cavs are definitely headed in the right direction, which is going to make this guy's job a lot easier. So at 21, I think they're going to take top tier Crown. Crown had a big year in pre-draft. He solidified himself as being one of the better centers in the draft. They could go at Rain, could go at Arsenal here, but I think top tier Crown would be the best fit for what they're trying to accomplish. I think he would get along right along with Guy 2K and the coaching staff. He already the way he talks, he's already like a professional now. You can already tell that he's gonna fit right in, and even though he's a rookie, he's gonna act like a veteran. So I'm excited to see what that team is gonna look like with Crown there. With the 22nd pick in the first round, back to the Warriors. I think this pick was the 13th pick was part of the trade deal which was sending over Gen to the Nets. And with the trade deal, I think this is a good player that they can fit right into the offense, kind of fit in the scheme of running the 4 or the 5 with chaos. I think you can put this guy either or, but I think the best thing he is good at is playing pick and roll defense, and having Gradient there and having a guy like Keena and Beast Move on the offensive end, I think he'll be able to fit right in big shots at the 5 or the 4 spot. But I think a good pick here for 22nd would be Shuttles. Shuttles had a good year last year, especially like the first half of the year in the regular season. Definitely got criticized for some things here and there about like being able to score the ball, but I think he's going to be in a better situation now here on the opposite end of the country in California with that dynamic they have over there. I think with Chaos and Shuttles in the front court, I think it all plays well. I think no matter who you put in those in those 2 spots, I think the Warriors are going to be a good team. Now, with wrapping up the first round with the 23rd pick to the Season 3 champions, Wizard District Gaming, I think this one is probably one of the tougher picks, just because with this mock draft, the way I have it lined up, all the really good sharps are taken, and some of the next few batches of sharps are good, and I think there will be a couple of sharps in the mix that we don't talk enough about that will have great careers, but as of December 29th, 2020, it's kind of tough for me to really know who to take here at 23, especially replacing a player like Reach the God, who had 2 outstanding seasons with the Wizards and 3 seasons overall. But at the sharp position, I think, or just even off-ball handler, I think the best pick that makes the most sense to me is Rail. He played for the Canada team, played off ball at Sav, looked really good in some games, had a decent campaign in pre-draft too as well. I think with the leadership of Dave Fry and Houdini, I think it makes a lot of sense to get a guy like Rail on that squad. JBM is looking like one of the best, if not the best point guard in the world right now. And putting Rail off ball, be able to score with the ball in his hands or off the deck, I think they can make it work. And I know it's going to be some issues with possibly getting him in with the visa, getting like work visa, getting like his passport and stuff to get over there to Washington. I think the worst case, they can slide Houdini down, and whoever they have at 6-man can slide into the 4 spot. Or they can grab a 6-man that can fill in that sharp spot too as well. But right here at 23, I think Rail makes the most sense, and we're going to wrap up the first round with that pick. And that concludes our first round for this mock draft. I appreciate everybody who stuck around and watched the entire video and got to understand where I was coming from with most of these picks, well, all of these picks really, and kind of see what I was thinking. And I hope for those who are part of these organizations get a better understanding on of what I'm thinking, and possibly adding some of these guys to your board and seeing if it makes sense, giving an interview. Again, I know people are going to pick this mock draft apart. It happens. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, I'm not 100% sure on what a lot of these organizations, these GMs, these coaches are thinking. in terms of the type of guys they want there, and I'm also unaware of guys who potentially could be, like turning down interviews or gotten a beef with some of the players of that organization that I might have sent them to. Like I said, like I'm one of those people that kind of stay out of other people's business, but again, word does get around sometimes. But at this point of recording this, I'm pretty oblivious to most of the drama. But I think I did a pretty good job. Please tell me how you feel in the comments, or please share how you feel on Twitter. Please like and retweet on Twitter. Also like and subscribe here on YouTube. I'm just getting this thing off the ground. I mainly just stream on here, but I'm going to start dropping more content. Also, stay tuned for the following rounds of this mock draft. I'm going to continue for the rest of the draft. I'm starting with the first round, putting it out there, see how you guys like it, and then I'm going to continue down the rest of the draft as well. Feel free to also shoot me a message on Twitter. Kind of ask me. You can ask me what I was thinking with this pick. You can let me know how you feel. Let me know. Give me any criticism in terms of like how I sound on the video, or how I may have picked for some teams, or if it doesn't make sense or that does make sense. That way, you can get better grasp for your mock draft that you might be having, or if you're one of the scouts for one of these teams and you want to reach out to me and see, if I can come help you guys out. I am open. But I'm gonna conclude this video. I appreciate everybody who came through and watched the video, who also commented, like, and subscribe. Much love. Take care. Stay safe. Peace.